Aloha, and welcome to Trust and Verify, the only show where the host continually tells you, don't trust me, verify it. So, tonight, as you can see, wait, where's my partner? Where's my friend, my co-host? Boogie Bumper, he's not here. He's out drinking some drinks with those little umbrellas in it, standing out there next to that pool, running around in the ocean, having a good time, and he's leaving all of us here in this cold-ass weather. So I had to call in some backup. That's right. I had to get some friends. And thank God I have some really good friends that can try. Believe me, we're only trying to just get a show out there because we already know before we even start, this is an absolute shit show without Boogie. So, having said that, tonight, introducing for the first time on TAV show, here we go. We got Chris Mack and we got Director Mike joining me to help break down all the news that we want to talk about, have a little fun. Cut the rug. We're basically going to try to do kind of a TAV show theme. But look, let's face it. This is the pirate radio crew right here. So you know shit's going to go sideways, and we're just going to get a little bit crazy. So, Chris, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I kept hearing some special Fox News alert about Australia and the National Guard being called in. Damn, I know why now. Boogie's been running around that damn beach with his shirt off. No damn wonder. Jesus.
It's awesome. And Mike, thanks for joining us, brother. How are you doing out there on the border?
Well, doing great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, you know, I think we should probably start off here. I wanted to get into some stuff that we've got, you know, the left is going crazy. We know this. And so I've kind of got a couple of stories queued up, and I kind of really want to start off with talking about what's his face? Clapper. Clapper did an interview on CNN, and that's kind of the theme. I know you guys aren't used to this, but this is the theme of this show here. We basically take apart the left. We listen to them, we play their sources, and then we laugh at them. And then we basically break it down. So if you guys want to jump in, you hear anything you want to comment on, feel free. I'm going to put the pause button on whenever we got to, but I wanted to get into this story just a little bit here. Oops, I can't even push play for some reason. See what happens when Boogie's not here? The show turns to shit right off the bat. Here we go. I think here we go. Jesus. Play, you
President
bastard.
Trump's inaugural committee is facing more heat from federal prosecutors, but it's not part of the Mueller probe. This time it is a subpoena from the Southern District of New York, and it is a sign that investigations will continue long after the special counsel is done, which, if you listen to Senator Chuck Grassley just moments ago, in his view, could be soon.
When do you expect to see the special counsel's report?
Within a month, if we see it. I look at it from this standpoint. I don't care what the report says. We paid $25 million, maybe $35 million to do it, and the public ought to know what their $25 or $35 million bought.
That's a pretty key point. Yeah, don't you think that's a pretty key point there, Chris?
That's one damn expensive sham of a report. Damn, I could have spent that much money. They give me that much money, and I told them this was nothing but bullshit. I'd have saved them all this time and work. I'd taken the $35 million and went to the beach with Boogie or something. Damn, it's ridiculous. No, James, honest to God, that infuriates me right there because, look, we've got so many other pressing issues right now that's affecting this nation. And all CNN can talk about is a damn inauguration committee that, 2.5 years ago now, 2 years, we're going on, and this president's halfway through one of the greatest economies, greatest stretches of American history probably we've ever had in this nation. And this is what they've got? I mean, kidding me. And Grassley, to say it's within a month, I don't like Chuck. I thought he did a hell of a job as the Judiciary Committee chairman, and I really hated to see him leave. But, I mean, you know, I'm sort of like him. It cost us $30 million to be told that Trump didn't collude with Russia when we already knew he didn't collude with Russia. This is crap.
I couldn't agree with you more. Mike, you got an opinion on that?
Well, the whole thing from the beginning was nothing to make Mueller money. That's all it was. They know damn well there was no collusion. They didn't even have to investigate it.
No, I think
totally.
It's all about making money. All of them.
I agree. I think it's a total sham. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry, I interrupted.
They're the real criminals if you think about it.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely agree with that 100%. I think it's a total.
he can. He's going to go as long as he can and keep getting paid. He don't care.
That's right. Absolutely. I think it's an absolute just travesty, just a serious travesty to the American people. These people don't care what this makes us look like on the world stage. They just don't care. They don't care how it affects things politically. Like I didn't bring up a clip here, but this is because of this. I have to say this. You guys, in my opinion, the left right now, between just Tulsi Gabbard and Occasional Cortex, is trying to drive a narrative that's going to force our political hand to stay out of Venezuela, and they don't see how dangerous that would be. They want to twist this into some kind of war that we need to go, that we want to go take over Venezuela now. That's not what we're trying to do. We're literally trying to protect the people of Venezuela, but because of their political twist, they're literally affecting things that could protect people. And it's all because they want to gain political points. It's sad to me, very sad. I mean, we're talking this story right here, to stay on topic. They're now wanting to talk about, they're going to investigate the inaugural committee. What? It's a stage show. What the hell would it possibly affect? They want to affect and talk about if there was any. Wait, I'm getting ahead of the story. Let's play the story, because now I'm pissed off.
CNN national security analyst James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence under President Obama, as well as just 50 years or so in the intelligence community. Thanks very much for joining us. So on that there, I
think that's an excellent point, right? Think about what they're trying to set up here. Just 50 years in the intelligence community. See, to them, they think that lends credibility. To us, that means, oh, you're the fucking swamp. You might be the king of the swamp after 50 years in this shit.
I don't mean to make you a prognosticator, but do you see any indications that the special counsel's investigation is close to done?
No, but that is a favorite parlor game in this town. Yes. Is when is Mueller going to be done? And all I've ever said about it is I think he's closer to the end than he is the beginning, and that's about as far as I'd go.
That is probably a safe bet. This other investigation now that's coming up, separate from the special counsel, Southern District of New York, I mean, quite a broad-based subpoena to the inaugural committee, right. List of donors, where the money came from, and with some serious crimes, at least investigated here. What's the significance?
See, this is, again, another lefty ploy. Some serious crimes, at least investigated here. I mean, Mike, come on. How many investigations you done? I mean, literally, you could investigate me for murder. That doesn't mean there's anybody fucking dead.
That's true, but, in order to get subpoenas and everything, you got to have probable cause.
Right.
There's got to be a foundation somewhere for a case. And, it sounds pretty broad. And actually, that clip just sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Look at what they put up here on the screen. Conspiracy against the U.S. False statements. Mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, disclosure violations, contributions by foreign nations, straw donors. I'm sorry, I don't see anything even here as a charge.
James, can I jump in here a minute? Absolutely. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to just say this. You mentioned the left. What they do when they stick a bullshit meme up like this, meme or whatever you want to call it, statement or a picture. Hey, it's bad. It's freaking TAV show, right? I can say meme on TAV show too. No, but seriously, it's just to throw shit on a wall and hope it sticks. And see that image that you just showed? Mm-hmm. Now, most of us in this audience tonight will look at that and say that's nothing but bullshit. That's just BS. But there's a lot of people in America that saw that today and said, oh, my God, the president is guilty of money laundering. Oh, my God, he's guilty of fraud. I told you Donald Trump was a crook. I told you Donald Trump needed to be impeached. That's their goal and purpose. It's all mind control. It's all mind screwing to get us to believe that he's in trouble. I heard Boogie say this, and I don't know if it was on the TAV show or one show that we did with Boogie or whenever, but he made a joke about it, and he was absolutely right. This has been going on since day one, probably even before President Trump even got inaugurated. But every single month during his campaign, every single month during his presidency, this is the linchpin that's going to take Donald Trump down. This is the one thing, baby. I'm telling you, we're putting money on it. He's going down. He's going to be in jail tomorrow. He's going to be impeached tomorrow. And this Boogie would say, and that Boogie laugh. I can't laugh as good as Boogie, but that's what Boogie would laugh. He'd laugh at Boogie laugh, and I'd be laughing with him because these dumbasses. Every month, James, we get something else. This month, it's going to be the inauguration fraud. I'm telling you, that's all they're going to talk about for the month of February. And March, it'll be something else. When the Mueller report comes out, they'll twist the Mueller report and find one little thing in there that they'll talk about for 30 days. This is the media's asshole. That's their asshole nature, and it's sad.
It is sad. I really think that.
I have to go to the Southern District of New York and look this stuff up, because until I see it from them, I don't believe shit that comes out of CNN at all.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing.
Great point.
That's exactly why we use the lefty talking points on this program here, TAV show, is because the trolls got nothing. We're literally posting your news right now. We're taking your talking points and then we're destroying them. So that's exactly why we do it. Is that, you know, to further on, let's go back here. We'll get back into a different clip now. This is Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo gets his ass handed to him here. And, you know, I think it's hilarious because, wait till you see this, in my opinion, he loses on his own show, on his own network, while he's trying to spin the same old shit. So let's take a listen to Chris here.
We're very lucky tonight. We have a key member of one of the most powerful oversight committees in Congress, Republican Chris Stewart of Utah. He sits on the House Intel Committee. It's good to have you, Congressman.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
So these questions about the inaugural committee, you guys never looked at this. About who made the donations, were they in the right names, were they from foreign nations, what were they doing? Why not, and do you have any concerns about these questions?
Well, the reason we didn't on the House Intel Committee is because it wouldn't have been under our jurisdiction. Of course, we were focusing on Russia and foreign influence, et cetera. And look, Chris, I just think you're going to have a little bit like the flavor of the day. There's going to be the investigation of the week over the next few years. I think you said there were 17 investigations. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with 30 or 40 different investigations. And as they move forward, I think that.
Now, see, right there, this is exactly what we've been saying all along. Director Mike, Chris, me, on every program we've ever been on. These guys are just going to keep throwing shit at the wall and see if anything sticks. Literally anything.
Well, Cuomo looks, I mean, I can't believe how he sits there with a damn straight face doing this, James. I mean, look at his face. I mean, he's getting his ass handed to him by this guy. And it's like you said, and I want to just go back to something that Mike said about the Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
This is the other part of this that we're not talking about. These Democrats, these left-wing loon bombs, whatever you want to call them, they're judge shopping. Every time, I guarantee you, they're looking for some judge in this country to rule in their favor. And if they don't find this judge in the Southern District of New York, they're going to go somewhere else. At least they're going to try. I mean, they may not be able to, but they will try to find a rogue judge to give in to what they're demanding against President Trump. And when President Trump, I mean, look, and this is the other thing, and not to get off subject here, but it sort of is related to this. Because anything that President Trump does, whether it's the border, whether it's with this, you know, the overseas Muslim ban, whatever you want to call it, the nations that are a danger to us, look, they've always done this. And it's going to be fought in the judicial realm. And since Congress don't have a set of balls, we need to focus on the Supreme Court right now and get that damn court right, because that's where all of this crap is going to wind up. And I wouldn't doubt it. If this inauguration stuff in some way or form or fashion, James may wind up there. I don't know, but it's just the crazy world of America right now, man. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it, but it just, I don't know. I'm just frustrated right now with the judicial system and the way that you judge shop. It's really pathetic.
And that's the good news, is that we just got another 54 of our judges through. So let's hope that some of them, you know, are decent. Mike, we know we have a couple of your agents over in that New York Southern District area right now. So you think that?
Yes.
Yeah. So you think we're going to have a little bit of intel come out of there?
Yeah, I'm going to send somebody in there to take a look around tomorrow.
Nice.
This is just getting ridiculous. I mean, come on.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, these
I'll
guys
tell you
are.
what, they need to get in on Hillary, or there's going to be a fucking war. And
Amen.
Amen. I'm getting tired of it. I want to see that bitch indicted before the year's out. I'm serious. I am sick of this bullshit. That
Amen.
crazy bitch needs to be locked up, tried, and then lynched in public.
Agreed.
And take Obama with her. That fucking homo, I am so sick of his bullshit. He's nothing but a little bitch.
That little smirk, I guarantee you. That little bitch Cuomo, that smirk would be wiped off his face. If that was Matthew Whitaker sitting on the other side of that picture right now, I wish Matt would go on CNN and let Cuomo talk that shit to him. I guarantee you that he wouldn't be sitting there with that smirk. He'd be cutting him off. We got to go to break here because my ass has been handed to me. But when Matthew Whitaker was doing that show and says Hillary's been indicted, I want to see Cuomo's face then. I'd like to see that little smirk off that face then.
What were you saying, Mike?
I said I'd like to go nose to nose with a homo there, Cuomo.
Nice. Well, let's watch Homo Cuomo. Let's watch Homo Cuomo get another little bit of ass whooping here. Watch this.
The fair thing to do is, and surely we've learned this from the last 2 years, is, okay, if there's accusations and if they're credible, then let the investigation go forward and let's see what it shows. But to be fair to a lot of people who have been accused of some very serious crimes, including even the crime of treason over the last 2 years, many times these investigations don't show and prove what many people think, and some of them actually hope that they will.
Fair point. You have to look if it's reasonable. There should be scrutiny if it wasn't reasonable. And if anything comes out of it that deserves attention, we should know. And the discussion should go from there. Understood. Let me ask you a little bit about what did come out of your committee. I'm reading it in a different way now that we've learned more in this indictment about Roger Stone in comparing the two. I have some language I wanted to go over with you. Just from the outset, that you were a big fan of getting that report out, and it was criticized as being just something that allowed the president to say, there's no collusion, look at the Nunes report. Do you have the same level of confidence now that you did when this report came out, that we've seen nothing that speaks to coordination or collusion by those around the president with people they shouldn't have been dealing with?
Well, yeah, when you say the report, you mean the Nunes memo. Is that true? Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Nunes memo, and anyone can look at it, and I would encourage everyone to go read it. It's 2.5 pages long. And it's very, very clear, and there's not a word in that. There's not a sentence.
Go ahead.
Now, if you know how these word games are played, listen to Cuomo. He's got to be the most ignorant son of a bitch on earth. Does he honestly believe that this guy is going to fall for that horse shit? I picked up on that about 2 sentences into it. He doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Mike.
That just drives me insane.
It drives us all insane. Yeah. No, you can tell he's full of it. And he's literally like, the guy's like, wait, what report? Are you talking about the Nunes memo?
Exactly. Like, he's making this shit up as he goes.
Oh, yeah. It gets better. He gets better. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, usually on that other side of these CNN correspondents, though, there's a liberal sitting in that chair, and they're going right along with everything he's saying. This guy is a conservative. He's not hard right conservative, but he's a Utah conservative. I'll just leave it at that. But even he is standing up for the Nunes report and saying, look, hell yeah, I'm staying by what I'm saying. There's no collusion. There's been no activity that we've seen, nothing we've seen in either committee, none of the committees, the House or the Senate, that would indicate that there's any Russian collusion. And we'll be glad to stick the report out there and let you read it for your damn self. That's the problem, James. I would bet you a bottom dollar Chris Cuomo hadn't even read that report and saying this crap on CNN. I guarantee you I'd put money on it. Not that I got any, but I'd put money on it.
I wouldn't doubt it. Let's get back to this.
Everybody in the damn news industry knows there's no Russian collusion. Every one of them know it.
Yep.
And they continue on with this bullshit. That's why they all need their ass whipped.
Amen, brother.
Amen to that.
memo, and anyone can look at it, and I would encourage everyone to go read it. It's 2.5 pages long, and it's very, very clear, and there's not a word in that. There's not a sentence in that I don't stand by, and there's frankly nothing in that has been had any doubt cast upon.
You don't believe that there's any proof of any coordination or collusion by those around the president with people who had involvement with Russian interference?
Well, absolutely not. And by the way, you know who else has come to that conclusion, at least so far as we can tell?
Do you see Cuomo's face? Did you see how he just tried to do that? Like, oh, you must be insane. Wait, it gets better.
Yeah. Mr. Mueller, because in none of his indictments does he indicate any U.S. person has been involved with collusion or conspiracy with the Russians.
I would disagree. Conspiracy, you got me. But I think.
Wait, that's a big one. Listen to that. He just admitted, oh, wait, conspiracy, you got me. So does Chris not understand what the definition of a conspiracy is? Because he just...
You understand that collusion is not a crime?
Yeah, oh yeah, they're going to talk about that. But just the fact that he gave up on conspiracy is a big deal. Because a conspiracy is basically, it means two or more people working towards a crime. So if there is no conspiracy, how could you even have the Russian collusion to begin with?
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
Conspiracy is what federal prosecutors go for when they have nothing else.
That's right.
Conspiracy is so easy to prove, it's not funny. I could charge you and Chris with conspiracy to do a dog. And I can convict both of you. I mean, conspiracy cases are easy as hell. There's nothing to them. It's like lying to the FBI, that bullshit. Those are the such low-level cases there is, you know, and it's ridiculous. Most judges shake their heads at it, but they got to do their job, right? And that's here we got Miller lying to the FBI and stuff. You know, I look at Cuomo's face with that smirk on his face. I'd like to smack it off.
Yeah. Let me jump in here a little bit, Mike, about what you just said about the judge shakes their heads at it. There's most judges do, but there are some that don't. And that's the problem right now, because they always find that judge that lets these people tear our Constitution to shreds and get before them. And if me and you or James went before that same judge, the set of rules for me and you and James are always different for these Democratic left-wing hacks. And I think that's frustrating a lot of people too, that they see what's going on. They're not seeing the left being prosecuted for the crimes. Look, I've heard for the last month, and you all have too, every time we turn around on these left-wing networks, that they're always highlighting that Roger Stone lied to Congress, and Jerome Corsi lied to Congress, and General Friend lied to the FBI, lied. And hell, if we was to do a who's who on the left that has lied to federal investigators over the last 12 months, you'd have enough to fill a stadium. And then
hell yes.
Always
Absolutely.
a double standard. Always.
Absolutely. But like I said, conspiracy and lying charges are the easiest to prove. They're simple. I could take a case to a grand jury and make the charge of let's see, James and Meg conspired to steal Janet's lunch money. I'd get an indictment.
Yeah.
Once I got the indictment, we'd probably kick your door in at 4 a.m. and then take you in before a judge at 9. You know, and it's the whole thing is just a goddamn joke.
Yeah.
It is a joke.
As the official representative of TAV show, no animals were actually harmed in the filming of this episode. And Janet, please don't hunt me down. I promise it wasn't me. I did not steal your lunch money. Having said that, let's get back to the ass whooping of Chris Cuomo.
I think that's my point about this report. You're looking at crimes, and I understand why, but that's not the full mandate of the special counsel, as you know. In fact, the first item delineated by Rosenstein was to look for proof of contact and coordination with those who may have been involved with Russian interference. Collusion, and I do not mean to speak out of school with you, Congressman. You got a better mind than I'll ever have on my best day. But collusion, just for the audience, is not a crime unless we're talking securities law. It's a behavior. Manafort and Stone, just to use the two most recent examples, they were trying to coordinate. They were trying to collude with people who they thought may be involved with Russian interference. Isn't that a fair read?
Chris. All right, I'm going to let you all kick his ass first. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I mean, that is such a softball toss. They were trying to collude with who? The Easter Bunny? Freaking Santa Claus? Freaking who?
There's been no collusion from Mueller's. Not even said anything about collusion.
No, he hasn't, Mike. That's a great point. It's a great point.
The only ones talking about collusion are the goddamn Democrats and these dumbasses at CNN. They're the only ones. If I was Roger Stone, I'd line me up some attorneys and start suing these these assholes.
And Mike, that's the other thing that frustrates me to death too. It's like, again, Manafort, you know, what they went after Manafort for was 12-year-old crimes. What they went for General Flynn was basically a process crime. They went after Roger Stone. Look, I don't know if you guys saw the YouTube video. It's out there. I don't know what network it was on. Maybe it was YouTube or somebody, but they were showing the FBI pre-dawn raid of Roger Stone's house. We don't do freaking terrorists like that in this country. We don't do freaking drug cartel leaders like that the way they treated this man. I mean, 5 o'clock in the daggone morning, and you bust his door down, and then you drag him out in a T-shirt and handcuff him in the back like he's a drug cartel. We don't even do drug cartels like that in our nation, the way we arrest people.
Well,
and
actually,
we do drug dealers over there. Was pathetic.
I've done dozens of them that way, drug dealers.
Yeah. Yeah,
nothing like booting their door at 5 a.m. and hauling them out in their underwear. I've done that.
Yeah.
But those are drug dealers, okay?
Right.
Roger Stone is a far cry from a drug dealer.
That's my point. That's my point.
Should have called his attorney and told him, we got charges, meet us down at the court, get before the magistrate at this time and date, see you there, period.
Yep.
In order to do his door like that, those FBI agents that do that need to be ashamed of themselves. They need to resign. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this, guys, before we go. If you're a judge, though, okay, and I know the media, if I would have been a judge in this case, and then I found out, if I could prove it, that somebody in this team tipped off CNN and had them set this up, I'm throwing this case out before it even gets to the point that he's indicted. I'm just throwing the indictment out if I'm a judge. I'm saying, you know something? This is crap. This is nothing but crap.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, let me point to a really key case here that I think actually illustrates the point that Chris was trying to make. Let's look at Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein was accused of serious sexual assault. This is physical violence against another American citizen. Those are considered major crimes, okay? He's not only accused, but indicted on several counts of this. They called him and he surrendered himself, okay? They didn't have a raid. They didn't kick in his door. They didn't go running around everywhere like crazy people. So that's a better illustration of the actual.
Good point, gang.
Right?
No, that was actually New York. He actually surrendered in New York. He had to fly to New York to surrender.
That state of New York charges, those weren't federal charges.
Yeah, those weren't federal charges. That's correct.
Yeah, there's a difference.
There is a difference. There is a difference, but the point is still the same. Is that?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. So let's watch Chris get his ass kicked now by a U.S. congressman.
Tell me, how much of Meg's lunch money did you take, James?
Hey, Mike, I learned my lesson. No comment. I plead the fifth.
No
Get me a fucking lawyer.
Yeah, rock on, brother. Rock on.
They were trying to
coordinate.
They were trying to collude with people who they thought may be involved with Russian interference. Isn't that a fair read?
Chris, I don't know how you can come to that conclusion at all. There is no indication of that at all in these indictments with Roger Stone. He's indicted for 7 things. 5 counts of lying to my committee, which, by the way, I take very seriously. And all of this breaks down if we can't presume that you can hold a hearing or that you can have a court hearing without people lying to you. So that I'm sincere when I say I take that very seriously.
But you didn't know he was lying to you at the time?
Well, no, of course not. We couldn't have known that.
Really?
That's
Chris Cuomo just got his ass handed to him by a congressman from Utah. Watch, this is good.
Something that comes out after you're able to provide evidence.
But if you had just subpoenaed the records, some of them which were publicly available, you would know that Roger Stone was telling two different stories. Which one is true is up for you guys to figure out.
No, well, and over a period of time, you can figure that out. But when he's in there for hour after hour after hour, and you don't have contrary evidence before you, which in this case we didn't know that. Now, it took a little time to put that together, but I want to go back to the original point, Chris, because I think this is so important. Because you're saying that there's evidence of collusion here. Once again, he's indicted for
not
5 counts.
Not the crime, not the conspiracy, not a crime. Collusion is a behavior. It's not a crime. I'm not saying that.
So now they want to convict Donald Trump on a behavior, not a crime, out of their own motherfucking mouths. And they...
If they want to go a federal charge on behavior, all 3 of us are going to jail. The people in the chat room are going.
That's right. Everybody in the chat room, turn yourselves in tomorrow at 9 a.m. You are under arrest for the crime of behavior. Your behavior is abhorrent.
To your local federal district court, tell them Chris Cuomo said so. Oh, my God.
And that is why we use the left-wing sources against them to roast their fucking asses right here on Trust and Verify. Out of his own mouth, he knows there's no fucking crime. It's just a behavior. It's fucking ridiculous.
Everybody goes to jail for their behavior now. Yep.
Go ahead, Chris.
Jesus.
No, I was just going to say I saw a comment in the chat room a while ago that Lindsey Graham supposedly is going to be looking into this Roger Stone arrest. Well, hell, I've been hearing Lindsey Graham's going to be looking into stuff for the last 6 damn years. I still ain't seen nothing Lindsey's done. Lindsey's a good talker in front of the camera, but we don't see any action. And I think that speaks, James, to what Mike is sort of the frustration he's he's expressed tonight, and I'm expressing. We're just tired of being told things are going to happen, and then they're not going to. And I'm going to bring our good friend Thomas Paine into this, who's one of the greatest journalists out there. True Pundit is how we affectionately know him. And Mike, I know that, True Pundit is he's a former FBI guy, and he's like you, he's a federal agent, and I know they get hardened, and I know they see a lot of things from the inside.
Hang on. Let me back you up there because I don't want to give out the wrong impression. He's not a federal agent.
I'm sorry.
No. He was a private contractor to the FBI, which is different. But I don't want to give bad info.
My bad. That's why it's called Trust and Verify. You trust what Chris says, but James verifies it. So
that's right.
Good. Absolutely, bro. No, I'm sorry. You're right. Because I had that in my mind for some reason. But regardless, he was in this field, and he knows the Mueller team like inside out. And he's not a big fan. And I'm telling you, every time you see his Twitter feed, it lights up every single day that Bob Mueller is a crook and he is a thug and his whole team are a bunch of crooks and thugs. And that's the people that are trying to convince us that our president, who has done nothing but just run the country in the greatest manner a president has in 50 years, is a criminal. And that's the sad part of it. That's why we're frustrated out here in America right now. And that's got to end, boys. That's just got to end, fellas. It does.
Said for years that Mueller's a crook. He's always been a crook. FBI agents even know he's a crook. He's been a crook forever. I didn't like him before this. Now I really don't like him now. Seriously.
I agree.
He's always been a criminal.
Yep. There's a lot of shady shit. In fact, were you guys aware that he actually was called before the FISA courts for issues already in 2002?
Yeah. That this week.
2002, think about that. 9/11 happened in 2001. This guy was already having problems with the FISA court in 2002.
Of course he was. He's an underhanded son of a bitch. He's always been underhanded. Always.
If y'all noticed, Rod Rosenstein has been on eerily silence the last 2 months. You've not heard a word. I mean, not a
peep. Their ass whipped.
Yeah, he is. But he has went into silence, and it makes you wonder if there ain't something. Because usually when they got, and to be honest with you both, what I have found striking is other than a tweet here or there, Obama, Clinton, Clapper, Brennan, Lynch, Holder, Obama, all of them, and we just mentioned Rosenstein, they have gone into eerie radio silence. It's almost like they are all of a sudden not wanting to say a hell of a lot publicly. Personally, I believe that the advice of their lawyers is to shut up shut the
Remember
blank
what I
up
mentioned
because you're just
Cities
digging a
of
hole.
Liberty a few weeks back about all the evidence in the conference rooms?
Right.
I'll leave it right there.
All right. I want to reiterate in case anybody missed what he just said. He said, Director Mike just said, remember on Ladies of Liberty, that's the show on Saturday nights at the same time, 11 p.m. Eastern, where he said conference rooms, that's a plural, that's got an S on the end of it, full of evidence on tables, that's multiple, that's got an S on it too, of evidence against these guys. And he said, I'll leave it right there. So I want you guys to understand, things are happening. There are good guys fighting for us.
Rosenstein is under investigation. Joe DeGenev has said that publicly as well. I was going to keep my mouth shut on it because I didn't want to screw nothing up. But when DeGenev brought it up on several radio broadcasts, hey, why not? Spit it out there. It's already out there. Rosenstein is under investigation, and he ought to be. He ought to be. Needs his ass kicked is what he needs. Seriously.
Y'all think
We totally agree with you. Go ahead, Chris.
I just was curious, Mike, you think Barr's going to be the hammer to this guy? Do you think Barr's going to come in and do anything, or do you think this is going to be another waste of effort by another attorney general we're going to be frustrated with for 2 years pulling our hair out that he's not doing anything?
I'm really on the fence. Barr has never impressed me. Worked under him back under H.W. Bush. Wasn't impressed then. Why should I be impressed now? And those answers he gave on the committee when they were trying to confirm him didn't impress me at all. Unless he was trying to shit them just to get confirmed. I don't know.
Well, it could be.
The proof is going to be in the pudding, as they say.
Yep, we're going to have to. That's one. This is what I'm going to say.
Really on the fence.
Yeah, we're going to support Barr because the president still supports him even after we gave him a bunch of shit. We've literally had people call the administration and give him a bunch of shit. He's sticking with Barr. We're sticking with Barr until Barr fucks up. And then these boys right here, Director Mike and the task force, are going to go after his ass just like we've been doing nonstop. So, again, that's a breaking news for our shows. I don't know who else has talked about it at all, but that's confirmation. He just said Joe DeGeneva has released Rod Rosenstein is under investigation. Director Mike is confirming that intel. We've been sitting on that for X amount of time because shouldn't have been in the public until it was time. We know that Joe has a personal relationship with the administration. And so if he's releasing things for a reason. We follow the patterns. We're going to start hammering home the news. So I think it's time to make a shift here. We've covered up, we've been basically 40 minutes hammering on these idiots. I want to shift over here to the border. We're starting to see the cracks in the left and in the media where they just can't cover this shit up anymore. So today I want to cover this. We got a story right here out of Reuters. Reuters is now reporting that U.S. Border Patrol overwhelmed by large groups of migrant families. Remember, they've been telling us what crime, what crisis? There's no crisis. There's nothing going on. There's no caravans hitting the border. There's no large problems happening. So let me read this article to you real quick. Again, this is from Reuters. This is not from Fox News. This is not from any right-wing conspiracy websites. No, this is Reuters. It says, so far in fiscal year 2019, which began last October, the Border Patrol has apprehended 60 groups of 100 or more migrants, compared with only 13 during the entire 2018 fiscal year, and just 2 large groups caught in 2017 fiscal year. A U.S. Customs and Border Protection official said on a call with reporters. Those stats are staggering. 2017, we had 2 large groups. 2018, we ramped up to 13 large groups. In the last 3-4 months, 60 groups of 100 or more. Staggering. Let me move on. The article continues with, until recently, most people caught crossing the border illegally were men from Mexico. But now, Central American families and unaccompanied minors make up some 60% of those apprehended, data from the agency show. Facilities built decades ago are struggling to cope with the influx of migrant families, many with young children, who are often in need of medical care. Large busloads of individuals are being bussed up to the border and we don't have any infrastructure in that area, the official said on the call with reporters. Mike, you're front line. You're on top of this. You know what's going on. Is it heartening to actually hear that these guys are starting to at least tell the truth to the American public?
Well, it's great that they're actually telling the truth, but they leave out a lot of things. A lot of these so-called families are not families. These kids are smuggled up here. Border Patrol has taken to giving DNA tests to these people now because a lot of them are not their kids. And that creates a problem because then it's like, where's the parents? That's Border Patrol's first concern. Where's the parents? A lot of kids are being smuggled in. Some are being brought in are coming with their folks. That's no doubt about that. Some. But the vast majority are being smuggled by smugglers, coyotes, whatever you want to call them. They're sent north with somebody other than their parents. And when Border Patrol has to resort to giving everybody DNA tests, and that's been going on for a while now. And a lot of them, turns out, are not these people's children. And as far as the illnesses go, we're getting stuff back here in the States that we haven't seen in years. And it's frightening. It's just actually frightening. And right, our Border Patrol stations are not made for this. They're not. And we're probably a good 10 years behind on all stuff. They need to, the Brian Terry station in Naco, Arizona is one of the newest. And it's not made for it, And it was just, I think it was opened in 2012, and it could be twice or three times the size. So, yeah, and detention beds are getting short. That's why they release them after 20 days because Democrats' law, federal law, says they have to. It's not because they want to. It's because that's what the Democrats that's what they did. 20 days, out they go. Unless they can't identify them, then they get to keep them. But it's a vicious circle, and the president can't do nothing about it. The first time he does something against that law, you know what's going to happen. You're going to have assholes like Cuomo running their mouth. Democrats in Congress are going to be jumping up and down and all this other stuff, and it's just going to be another shit show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So speaking of,
I just saw a question in the chat. Yeah, some do claim to be the guardians, but they're not. They have no documentation proving that. And DNA tests prove that they're not the parent or even related to them in a lot of instances. So yeah.
Mike, they do try to verify that though at the border, I'm assuming, right?
Absolutely.
They are.
Yeah, that's why they do DNA tests.
Okay.
And then after that, they come out, investigators get with them, say, well, we got DNA testing here, so this is not your children. What's going on here? And if they try to put the thing that, well, the parents, maybe they're the guardian or whatever, and they got no legal document proving it, they're going to jail. They're going to prison. Because then they've been caught for smuggling. And that's how that works.
Yeah, let me point that out. Someone in the chat just made a good point. DuckDuckGo says DNA tests take 3 to 5 days. So I want you to understand something. How expensive do you think that shit is that our boys at the Border Department are having to go through to expedite, to literally pay people to do nothing, nobody else's DNA tests, nothing but border DNA tests? Just think about how expensive that is, of how much they're having to pay. The technology, the scientists, the people that have to do the test. You have to run the test more than once because you could get a false positive. Like, just think about this. This is not like they go in, you swab, you stick it in a machine, it tells you who they are. It doesn't happen like that. This is a very expensive test that they're having to do to try to protect these kids. Yet another reason that we would save millions, if not billions of dollars by putting up a damn fence. Just think about that.
That's right.
Right.
And that's why they're fighting that fence. On the flip side of that, what you just said, James R., that's why the Democrats are fighting that wall and fighting that fence. Because you know something? At the end of the day, this is what the Democratic Party wants. They want the coyotes. They want the drug cartels. They want all of this stuff streaming over America because they know two things. If that cabal of people come in and that they wreak havoc in the country, it puts the administration in one heck of a place fighting this crime. It drains resources. And then they can come out and claim, well, we need money. You know, they try to manipulate the purse strings. President Trump says, hey, we need so much more for law enforcement. And they say, well, we'll give you that money, but we need to put our sweetheart deal in this mix. It's always a political game with the money. But the other thing, they want a voting bloc. They know good and well if these people overrun this country, Texas is not going to be red much longer. It's going to go blue. They know Arizona's going to go blue. It's bordering on blue now. They know New Mexico's going to go blue. California's already blue. But I really believe a lot of this is Texas. I think they're really having their sights set to turn Texas from the red state to a blue. And guys, let's be frank and honest with each other. Texas and California, Texas has always belonged to the Republicans. California and New York's always belonged to the Democrats. Look, we've already got 150 deficit in electoral college votes before most of us ever go to the poll. Those two states alone, the Democrats usually can put that in their column. At least now they can. But they're wanting the third trifecta. Because if they get Texas, New York, and California before we vote, the rest is going to be.
Well, that's why I think that people like myself and Mike understand that it's just civil war at that point. The rest of the small states just will not. All of the conservatives will leave states like Texas, go into places like Georgia, Alabama, and then we'll just fight a war because we're just not going to let it happen. And we're not going to let these scumbags take over this country through artifice. Nope. It's just not going to happen.
Nope, not. It's not, and it's bullshit. These damn crooked ass politicians, and I'm going to start saying our piece of shit Justice Department. It's disheartening, man. It's really disheartening. It is.
The three things you got to have, fellas. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Their entire federal careers working by the rule of law because that's what the job entails. Then you've got that higher echelon in the Washington deep state swamp that just pulls the most ridiculous, illegal bullshit you've ever seen in your life. And the thing is, you can't beat the shit out of them because you'd get arrested for it. Seriously.
No, we're laughing. We agree. You can't. I mean, it just reminds you of the old joke. You know, you can't live with them, you can't shoot them. I mean, it's just, it's just the way it is.
Nope, not now. Not right now, anyway.
Well, let me tell you something. There's three things that every nation has got to have to be a nation. Number one, you got to have a clean justice system, what Mike's talked about tonight. Number two, you got to have clean elections. You got to have elections that are free of voter fraud, that we know that when we vote, that we have the integrity that our system is working across the board from Maine to California to Florida to Texas, from Utah down to Maine or wherever else you got to go. It's all 50 states that we're all on the same page. You got to have voter integrity and you got to have a border. And guys, if you think about it, those three things are the greatest things that are under attack right now in this nation. That's what the left, those three things the left are attacking right now with everything in them to tear the fiber of this nation away. And James, to be honest with you, I'm not so sure that's not what they want, a civil war. I believe that's what they're fomenting. And I think that's what they want. And that should bother.
Well, you know what, Chris?
I can believe that.
Chris?
Yeah.
They are that damn stupid.
Oh, yeah, absolutely they are.
Look, they're
absolutely
that damn
they
stupid.
Are.
And it's just totally unconscionable. You know, they all sit there and you look at all these Media Matters and Think Progress and stuff, the stuff that they listen to for news and CNN and all that bullshit. They are actually doing this country a disservice. Seriously. If somebody assassinated them bastards, the left would probably be a lot better off because they're being indoctrinated and fed a bunch of garbage. Just simple as that. It's not entirely all their fault because they're being fed this shit, you know, and you really can't tell people what news to pick, but you know, and they pick that crap, and it just, you know, it's unconscionable, and it's all for the Democrat Party, and they're all making money off of it.
Yeah. Well, I hope to God that we find out that if these scumbags, which is a very our apologies to the real scumbags of the world out there for equating the Democrats with the scumbags. I think we do the
Democrats
scumbags of the world a disservice by even putting the Democrats in the same topic. But let me tell you, Mike, we talked about on Pirate Radio Friday night about the cartels, paying the Edo off, and the same Democrat that sort of blew the lid off of that down there is saying that, a lot of these politicians have had their pockets filled with money from these same cartels. Look, none of that surprises me. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I just said sure they have. I agreed with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, let me ask you a question. You may not be able to answer this question, but we know that there are some players in Tucson.
I didn't take her lunch.
I know you didn't, and I know you would plead the fifth anyways. But
while I was spending the money.
There are some players in Arizona right now as we speak. They just did a live news conference from the border in Tucson, Arizona. Do you have any meetings scheduled today, maybe tomorrow, besides your phone call that is supposed to happen that you can tell us about?
Yeah, I got a CBP meeting, Border Patrol meeting Wednesday. But that's about it. It's just a briefing on what's going on and what's about to take place.
Interesting.
We should probably go live Wednesday night.
I was just going to say that, Mike. You read my mind because
if we had anybody that knew how to do it, probably do that.
So look for a special edition Wednesday broadcast, everyone, because we think some big things are supposed to happen over the next couple of days. That's just tea leaf reading. That's my job. That's why I ask those crazy questions that don't have an answer, because when I hear those crazy questions without an answer, they oftentimes will lead me to put a couple of other pieces together. So it's possible we have a big thing that's going to shake up. So look for it. Start paying attention to what's going on. We know, in my opinion, we're going to have a big day tomorrow. But speaking of that, I want to kind of shift gears slightly, and I wanted to provide a little background information for our audience, since nobody else but the Ladies of Liberty have been talking about the trial of the century. The trial of the century is essentially going on right now in New York, which is why earlier in the broadcast you heard me reference that Director Mike has a couple of agents in the Southern District of New York, because El Chapo is on trial. Now, we've already discussed a lot of things. I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this because we're going to have to be basically talking about this every program, every show for the next foreseeable future. But I wanted to give you some background here. And one of the things that I've been able to bring up here is this is pretty much the only guy reporting on this El Chapo trial at all. Like, I can't seem to find any mainstream sources at all. Isn't that interesting? And from my own knowledge, most of this stuff seems pretty accurate, but since we have an expert on the program, he can interrupt at any time and tell me that's bullshit, so I can push pause and we can clear up any mistakes. So,
I've actually read El Chapo, the government's case against El Chapo. I've read it.
Awesome. So let's give you a little bit of background right now on El Chapo.
One of the primary themes in the trial of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman is corruption. In bombshell testimony over the last week of the trial, various forms.
I got to push pause because listen to what he just said. In bombshell testimony, he's talking about corruption. Now, he's going to come at this a little bit different angle, but we disclose this on Ladies of Liberty, Director Mike, that we know that he's not just talking about Mexican corruption here. So I just wanted to point that out before we move on.
Former high-ranking members of the Sinaloa cartel and their allies have testified about bribes being taken by the current Mexican president and the last two Mexican presidents. In fact, from the very start of the trial, El Chapo's attorney...
Do the math, everybody. Do you understand what he just said? Remember who I've been telling you for months now. Months. Carlos Salinas. And then listen to who they didn't just name in taking bribes. Isn't that a coincidence that the bribes only occurred with every Mexican president since Carlos Salinas? But Salinas was clean. Not him. It was Salinas was clean. Think about the coincidence of that.
Attorney Jeffrey Lichtman promised to make the corruption of the Mexican government central to the defense of his client. Jeffrey Lichtman describes El Chapo as just a scapegoat for El Mayo. El Mayo was his partner at the top of the Sinaloa cartel.
Otro de sus hijos, Ismael Zambada Imperial, el Mallito Gordo, aprehendido en Culiacán.
El Mayo is still free. El Chapo was in jail. And his defense is that while he may have been a cog in the machine of the Mexican narco state, he was never in charge. And he is not at the head of the conspiracy. It's El Mayo and the Mexican political structure. Now, while I have no doubt that El Chapo is guilty of enough smuggling of drugs crimes to get life in prison, I also think that his defense is pretty compelling. I've interviewed people such as DEA agent Michael Levine, who had his own case against huge Bolivian, Colombian, and Mexican drug traffickers collapse when Mexican political officials, including the highest levels of the Mexican military, were implicated in the case, and the case was eventually thrown out. Remember,
Carlos Salinas. Think about this, guys. Remember when I told you months ago that, El Chapo's scared of Carlos Salinas? I want you to understand this shit. And then I need to ask Mike a question right now, because he just hit on exactly why DEA agents hate what happened with Fast and Furious. Think about the connections here. They had an entire case, literally a multi-international jurisdictional case. Colombia, now all of a sudden I forgot the other states, but in Mexico. And it collapsed due to high-ranking Mexican government officials being corrupt. Mike, do you have any comment on that?
Well, what this guy is saying is true, okay? Carlos Salinas, we'll start there. And we'll go to Vicente Fox, Calderon, etc. In this current one, the current president has got the war against drug cartels. Seriously? He's rich right now. We know this. It's all phenomenal. It's mind-boggling. The only reason El Chapo is sitting in a New York courtroom is because the U.S. government screwed him over. They had a deal. And a lot of drugs were brought up into this country under Eric Holder, allowed to go run rampant. And then something happened, but I believe Fast and Furious had a lot to do with it. Then, all of a sudden, Holder wants him up here and indicted for crimes up here. They didn't even have a case written against him before he was extradited here. They didn't even have it ready. And most times when the U.S. government is going to prosecute you, they're ready to go to trial. But they had him indicted and extradited in no time flat. The grand jury didn't take 2 days. That tells me a lot. They wanted to get control of El Chapo. They also wanted to see who else they could get to shut up. They didn't get that many. Because you see what's going on now? Everybody's starting to turn over. And the way the Sinaloa cartel is being run, it's being run by El Chapo's boys. El Mayo is highly involved. Absolutely. He's not going anywhere. Mexico's not going to touch him. They're not. Because the Mexican military and the Mexican government and 98% of the police in Mexico are corrupt. We don't even trust them. We've met with El Chapo's people when he was on the run. We wanted him. We found him twice. We found him twice. We met with their people. Mel probably remembers this. I don't know if she does or not. It was back in about 2011 or 2012. We met with El Chapo's people on the border in the middle of the desert to find out his location. And we got it. But we never got the reward for it. Never got it. So, there you go. This guy, what he's talking right now, he's right. He's absolutely right. And there's more going to be coming here soon. They say that the case went to the jury. I'm not sure exactly on that. That's just what I've heard. I've not been able to see or read much news lately. We've been dealing with this crap down on the border so much that I don't get a chance to see it a lot.
All right, we're gonna move on.
25 years ago, when Pablo Escobar was killed in Colombia, did the cocaine business stop? No. It just simply went from the Medellin cartel to the Cali cartel. In fact, since El Chapo's demise, drug availability in the United States has actually increased. Another interesting point is that El Mayo's own son, Vicente Zambada, aka Vicentillo, which I guess roughly translated means pretty boy Vicente, he's one of the chief witnesses against El Chapo. Vicente has pled guilty to orchestrating massive drug shipments, to procuring weapons that were used in the Sinaloa cartel's war against the Beltran-Leyva brothers, which resulted in thousands of casualties. And Vicente cut such a sweet deal that he turned in about $1.5 billion in cash to the U.S. government, and he's going to get about a 10-year sentence or so, which means he's going to be out anytime, perhaps as soon as the trial ends. More on Vicente Zambada in the next.
I want you to think about that, everybody. He turned over $1.5 billion, and he's still a billionaire, and he's gonna get out of prison in days. Just think about that. It's insanity what these guys did. Go ahead, Mike.
His prison is probably his bathroom. I don't know. He's probably got home arrest or something. I can't see him sitting in a Mexican prison. If he does, it's in some damn military headquarters somewhere. It's not the regular prison they'd throw us into, I'll tell you that right now. It's not.
Yep. Absolutely. He's getting a sweetheart deal. And right now he's in New York testifying. So, his prison could be at the top of the Ritz for all we know. I mean, that's how these guys get treated, right? They're not sitting in county jail. They're not in the drunk tank. Trust me.
Chapter
not at all.
This series on the trials of El Chapo. A document was unsealed in court on Wednesday, January 16th, over the objections of the U.S. government that huge bribes were paid to former Mexican.
That's a big key thing he just said. This confirms exactly what Director Mike told you weeks ago. Weeks ago, he told you that the U.S. government, right, is trying to stop this shit from coming out. This is exactly, he just told you. The government has tried to stop this from getting to you. You wonder why there's dead silence on the mainstream media? You just heard it right there. The government tried to stop this information from going public. That's not shining light in the darkness right there. That's why it's up to us, guys. We got to scream this shit and make sure that these career deep state agents inside the DOJ and other places are exposed, fired, removed, gotten rid of. I mean, that's huge. To not want this to go out, that's huge.
President Felipe Calderon and to a former campaign worker of current President Andre Manuel Lopez Obrador. The source of the bribes in question were not El Chapo Guzman, but El Mayo. The document that the American government sought to keep sealed, which it said was irrelevant to its case against El Chapo, referred to a bribe paid by El Mayo to an election worker, one of current President Lopez Obrador's highest-ranking campaign officials back in 2006. Spokesman for current Mexican President Lopez Obrador didn't even bother to deny the charge.
Do you hear what? Think about this. Director Mike just said it, and he said it in the past. We told you that they bribed Obrador. We fucking told you this, and now here we go. We have official court documents telling you they bribed Obrador. I just want you to understand, this is why you get the real deal here. It's because we got guys like Director Mike that know what the hell is going on, and we're telling you about it.
I worked the Medellin cartel for years. Okay, I put a lot of Pablo Escobar's monkeys in prison, and I know a lot about this game. A lot. I'm not even allowed in Mexico. I'm not even allowed in Central or South America.
That's telling you something right there.
I'd be a target. If I wanted to slip across the border to, say, Nogales, Sonora, have a couple tacos, a couple beers, I got to watch my ass. And I don't want to get caught carrying a gun down there either. Because the Mexican government doesn't like me at all. That's why when we have things to do, we send people down that are okay. You know, we still got people embedded with that big caravan. They're still helping the Mexican authorities sort people out of that. And the only reason they're cooperating is because Trump's going to cut their damn money off.
Mike, I don't understand why they don't like you. You've got such an award-winning personality. I think you'd fit right in South myself. Just an observation, buddy.
He simply said it's a charge from a protected witness that is at a trial not even taking place in Mexico. So I guess that means it doesn't matter. It's also a country where big business is even more closely embedded with the government than in America, which is pretty amazing. In fact, Pemex, the state-owned oil company, is the second biggest company in all of Latin America, and the world's on and off richest man, Carlos Slim, oversees a variety of monopolies, including phone service in different parts of the country that wouldn't even be legal in the United States because they would violate U.S. antitrust law. Just a day before the allegations against the current president came out, a Colombian named Alex Cifuentes, who worked with El Chapo from 2007 to 2013, testified that the prior Mexican president, Enrique Peña Nieto, asked for a $250 million bribe, $250 million, when he was ushered into office. El Chapo turned him down and instead sent $100 million in cash. This would have happened in 2012. The Colombian Alex Cifuentes apparently provided the U.S. government with proof of this allegation in the form of hard drives that contained, I guess, records of the banking transactions that accumulated the $100 million, but I don't think that's going to be allowed to come out in court by the U.S. prosecutors or the judge.
Now, why do you think that is, guys? I want you to think about that. Why do you think that is? That the government doesn't want those hard drives introduced as evidence. That's exactly why Mike and the boys are in New York right fucking now. Because the very hard drives that prove the paper trail to Mexican corruption prove the paper trail to American corruption. That is why they do not want those fucking hard drives introduced as evidence. Once those things are introduced as evidence, it's game over. Game fucking over. Do you see how important this shit is that we've been trying to tell you? Like, we've been on the fucking cutting edge of this, and you're getting confirmation here. This is, and I want to be clear because this is the right thing to do. Show some love to this guy's channel. Because this guy is on it, so he's, he might not be 100% right, and he's definitely not going to be as cutting edge as we are, but at least you have another source to go to and watch a little video and get some background, because he's got a bunch of stuff on his channel. It's called, I think it's AI Profit, Profit. He's on YouTube. And so you can get a lot of background so that when Director Mike makes this offhand comment and we just move past it, you'll have the understanding in your head already to understand what we're saying, because this is a lot of shit coming at you really fast. Think about that. And Mike, I heard you laughing, bingo, that's exactly what's going on. The government doesn't want this information introduced as evidence. What do you got to say?
Well, there's one of two reasons. They don't want it introduced because they don't want the American politicians exposed, or they've got a current investigation going on against American politicians. That's something we've got to decipher what's going on. That's why we're quiet, because we have some info now. We've received info from agents within the government. I'm not going to say what agency, but these are credible agents. They work this business. They hate what's going on in the DOJ. They hate what's going on to the president. They support the president, and they're trying to point us in the direction because they know what we will do with it. And we know these guys. So, yeah, there's one or two reasons right there. There's either an ongoing investigation that's come to light since the trial, or they're going to try and protect them. What else could it be?
Yep.
If there's a third one, somebody please share it with me because I'd like to know.
Mike, how far up does this go with the American side of things, do you think?
Previous Speaker of the House.
That's what I'd heard. I heard his name.
Well,
yeah,
I'm pretty confident. I'm confident from what I've seen so far. I said before, we're going to interview these people, and we got to be able to corroborate what they say. Anybody can throw something out there, you know, and whatnot, but you got to corroborate it. It's about being fair, regardless if I hate Nancy Pelosi or not, which I can't stand the woman. But if it came out that she didn't, I would have to be honest in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's how we all think. Everybody in this chat room gets it.
When you enforce the laws in this country, it needs to be bipartisan. It has to be straight up. You can't involve race. You can't involve religion. You can't involve political party. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. It's as simple as that.
Mike, I totally 1,000% agree with you, but I'm telling you, my friend, the other side don't look at it that way. They don't want. They you know, we understand that. We want to be fair. We want our justice system to be pure. I just saw a question come up in the chat room: will our DOJ ever be cleansed? I personally believe it will not be cleansed until you drain every single one of these DOJ employees out and start afresh. I know that's almost impossible to do, but you can't replace insiders with insiders. You can't replace swamp with swamp. You can't replace people that have not had a clean DOJ with people that are not clean themselves. It's got to be a makeover. And I don't know if I don't know. Maybe we may see that in our lifetime. We may not. But I will tell you this, what you just described about the fairness for the left, they do not share that same opinion about us because they don't want the justice system to be fair when it's one on the left that's being indicted and this stuff being shown on them, because that is where we're at in this country. We have a two-tier justice system. That's why people are so mad, Mike, including yourself. I've listened to you talk. James and I are upset. We get it. We understand the process. I know that it's taken a while, but I'm just telling you, there's got to be somebody, a hero. And I really thought Matt Whitaker was it. I do. I love Matt Whitaker to death.
And also the president is responsible here as well. He could release those FISA, declassify a bunch of documents. Rosenstein told him not to do that for some stupid-ass bullshit reasons, okay? I have a letter going out to the president Wednesday, and as soon as we are sure he got it, we will post that letter. But those FISA documents, all those classified documents, if they're declassified, there's some asses being fried over that. He needs to declassify it. That's his ace in the hole.
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
And he may be waiting. I'm not going to second guess Trump because anybody who second guesses him ends up looking like an idiot.
That's true.
That's so true.
He may be waiting to do this for whatever time he feels is right. But in the meantime, we're going to go forward with what we feel is right. And if we get evidence that U.S. politicians got bought off by cartels, and right now it's looking real close at Paul Ryan, it's coming out. And we will go to the DOJ and we will force them if we have to get a court order to do it. It doesn't matter. We will do it somehow to make them do this case.
And there you go, folks. That's what we've been trying to tell you. But I do want to point out right here, timing is everything. Everybody on this show has been walking this line. We've been telling you what's going on, and here we go. We're getting now but think about this. This will tell you that this was timed and controlled, and politics is involved. Sure. I'm the guy telling you politics is involved in everything. But I'm telling you right here, you can point directly to this being a political thing. This guy was arrested under Obama. Okay? Yep. This guy, they tried to walk this thing and screw this case up so many different times and ways. But now you see that we have Trump. we have Whitaker, and now we got a case, and now suddenly we're being told that there's evidence against U.S. politicians. Now, I want to ask you this simple question. If Donald Trump was not the president of the United States, do you think we would have heard that? No fucking way we would have known that.
Absolutely, James.
So, think about the
Donald Trump
time.
wasn't president of the United States, we'd already be in the middle of a civil war.
Yep.
Or worse.
So we do understand there's things that are moving here, and this still does allow you timing. The case is going to be over in less than a month, which means March. And what did Director Mike tell you weeks ago? By spring, indictments were going to start dropping. All of these things are lining up for timing. This is the timing we told you about long time ago, and the timing is happening now. Now, if we don't get the timing we want, I can promise you by June, Director Mike's going to be pulling his fucking hair out, burning up the phones, and so are all of us. Chris and me, we're going to be fucking hammering people on the internet non-fucking stop about it. Because
I'll be doing it in April.
Yeah. I mean,
It'll be every day.
Yep.
It'll be every day.
Mike, quick question, not to jump in here, but quick question. Do you think that the February 15th thing, I don't have any hope whatsoever we're going to get anywhere before Saturday, which is the 15th, which is going to be, or Friday, whenever the 15th is, that we're going to have this government situation settled. Do you think that the FISA documents, you think that Trump has sort of been, that could be sooner? Do you think he possibly could do something right after the shutdown?
Yeah, anything's possible with him. You know, but it's about the time you figure that you've got him figured out, you don't.
That's true. You know? That is true. And that's why we love him. That's why we love him as our president.
I'm understanding that the border stuff, the wall thing is sort of going by the wayside with the Democrats, but it doesn't matter. We're already building it. The fence is going up. There's material delivered all along the border, and it's going up. And I don't know why the Democrats aren't standing there jumping up and down unless they know and they don't want to look embarrassed. He doesn't need them for the wall, for the fence, whatever you want to call it. It's a fence. It's not a wall. He doesn't need them. He's already got it. He doesn't have to declare an emergency either. He's using military funds.
Amen.
Amen.
Nobody on the left is opening their mouth. Why is that?
Yep. Absolutely. And again, think about what we've been talking about. That's why I want to play this video, is that this is like we've been talking about this. This is a big deal, and there's the biggest deal, the reason this is a huge deal. One of the main talking points I can point to is there is an absolute black hole of this case in the mainstream media. There's no New York Times on it. There's no Huffington Post, no Washington Post. Nothing on any of the television stations. It's a black hole. And we're talking about government transcripts, court documents. These guys were covering De Niro's divorce proceedings instead of El Chapo. I want you to understand that this is where we're at in America. This tells you.
Did De Niro's ex blow his head off?
We can only hope.
Unless she did, I don't care.
Exactly. Joint base the wall, baby. You got it. All right, here we go. Come on.
El Mayo's own brother, a man nicknamed El Rey, the King, who did testify in the trial, he was going to corroborate that there were bribes paid to the current president when he took the stand, but the judge blocked that, and he testified about other corruption that he participated in and knew about. El Chapo's attorney, Jeffrey Lichtman, accused the prosecutors of being desperate to protect the Mexican government. Lichtman then laughed aloud when a reporter asked him if his defense was single-handedly destroying relations with the Mexican government. I guess that reporter doesn't know about Donald Trump and his wall. People in Mexico don't seem to be too worked up about the allegations that their last three presidents were all getting hundreds of millions of dollars in bribes from the Sinaloa cartel, maybe because most of the Mexican population survives on $2 a day in income and have their own problems. Or maybe they're just used to corruption. The businessmen of Mexico, the powers that be, are so totally integrated with the government, they certainly can't support any corruption allegations. And that's what I see the Sinaloa cartel as. During its heyday, it was the state-sponsored monopoly on drug dealing. The presidents of Mexico chose which cartel to ally themselves with, which was Sinaloa. And they worked with the Sinaloa cartel, not against.
Now, where did you guys hear that before? Right here, Ladies of Liberty, TAV Show, Chris Mack Files. We've been telling you for months that literally Carlos Salinas set this shit up and in motion. He just told you again, state-sponsored cartels. Think about this. There's a reason we're right. That's because we can read what's going on. We can see it. We got investigators and people inside, like Director Mike and his entire crew, that know, first-hand knowledge, seen the evidence, these fucking people are corrupt.
It's no coincidence, I'm sure, that violence in Mexico has now surged again to record levels, surpassing that even of the last drug war, now that El Chapo is in custody. The question now is, will the Mexican government partner with some new El Chapo? Perhaps El Mayo is that partner, while El Chapo is made out to be the fall guy. We in America get to think our government has done something about drugs crossing our border and destroying our streets and population, even though more and more drugs are flowing and the violence in Mexico has increased. So what really is the point of all of this? It seems like just an elaborate spectacle to me, and just another chapter in the ongoing saga of the corruption of the Mexican government and the U.S. government's complicity in covering it up and facilitating it. Two of the key witnesses that have testified so far are the Flores twins, the twin brothers from Chicago who sold so much cocaine and heroin that they would meet personally with El Chapo and his partner El Mayo. El Mayo's son, Vicente Zambada, who's also going to be a star, or who was a star witness in the trial. And the Flores twins actually lived down in Mexico for a while, and they would meet personally with the cartel bosses. They were sending billions of dollars a year from their Chicago hub, and they are two of the absolute key witnesses, and they really start.
Now I want to make a really huge point here. Chicago, does that not seem like a coinky-dink that Chicago is billions of dollars going back to these guys? Come on, man. I mean, if I don't even know if we could possibly draw you any better of a roadmap than exactly what's happening in this trial to understand that Eric Holder, Barack Obama, the Obama administration, all of these people, Clinton, all of these people, direct ties, direct connections. And it gets even better. We're not going to keep going into this because we've covered enough tonight, I think, to give you guys. I recommend you go to this guy, go check out his channel, that Al Prophet. I'll retweet it again after the show. He gives you a lot of background on this, and the Flores twins, understanding the Chicago connection with them is going to open up your eyes to a lot of this stuff. I mean, think about that. He said billions of dollars going out of Chicago, not millions. He said billions with a B to these guys. In fact, there's stories that you'll learn that we know about, that we've heard about. You know, these guys were making like $50 million off of just buying precursor chemicals. They weren't even producing drugs. They were just buying precursor chemicals and making millions of dollars. So it's insanity. Rom, exactly. And why is Chicago a shithole? Well, just think about it right now. Okay? Just put the pieces together. This stuff is a big deal. And our boys, Director Mike, is going after these fucks for us. Thank you, Director Mike.
The U.S. Coast Guard took down a ship about 3 years ago that had 500 barrels of precursor for making meth. took it down right in the Pacific on its way to Mexico. And it belonged to El Chapo, because El Chapo was pissed when that load went down because he paid for it ahead of time. Mexico is the largest maker of meth in the world. They're the largest producers now of heroin, black tar heroin. Afghanistan, people keep bringing that stupid shit up. Trump has ordered the Marines to eradicate poppy fields in Afghanistan. And they're doing it.
Yeah. This is an excellent point I want to make real quick, because he just touched on it, and he's going to go past it, but I want to make this point for you guys. The Chinese were the ones selling the precursor to Mexico. The Mexican heroin sucks, so that's why you have so many people dying in America right now from the heroin, because they cut it with fentanyl because the heroin itself sucks. It's right. Just like Mexican dirtweed. They make you buy PCP, right? Because you dip the shit in angel dust and then the pot is suddenly good. That's what they're doing with the heroin. It's the same shit. So while we're fucking burning all the poppy fields in Afghanistan, the Chinese are bringing in fentanyl to help the Mexicans with their heroin and make it worth the shit. Do you understand why people are dying? It all goes back to this shit right here. This is what you have to understand, is make all these connection points and understand why we have to reopen Fast and Furious. We've got to get to these fuckers, and we've got to take down people like Carlos Salinas, Eric Holder, and Barack fucking insane Obama.
That's right.
I agree. And you know what? We do what we can do. Our budget is strapped so damn tight, it's not even funny.
Yep.
It's ridiculous, actually. We try to do some of these investigations, and we hit a brick wall. And it's because we're financing the shit on the border, and we do investigations. We've done them since our beginning. Our cyber crimes unit is added every day. They're taking down pedophiles every single day, at least 12 to 15 pedophiles a day. Child predators. 24/7, they're on social media.
Mike and James, I just listened to y'all talking. You all have been on top of this probably more than me. I've been sort of watching, sort of following y'all's coattails on the El Chapo thing. But I was just sitting here thinking as I was listening to all this that James was playing. I don't think that we out here in the American public, we think we're going to be ready for all this stuff to come out in the light. But I'm telling you both, I really believe. I told Ann Vandersteel this the other night. When all of this truly comes to the front and comes to the surface, I think even this show, the Ladies of Liberty, the Mac Files family, Your Voice America, all of us are going to be stunned at how deep this stuff is going to wind up in the mainstream of our political structure here in America, and how, we talk about the corruption. And yeah, we get it. And I saw something in the chat room earlier tonight. They said, well, there's been 50 years of this going on. It's not going to go away overnight. And that's absolutely true. This stuff is so deep rooted that once you get all the roots pulled up, we're going to be shaking our heads. I guarantee you, we're going to be on a show in a few months. I'm telling you, we're going to be looking at each other on this screen, and we're going to be shaking our damn heads and saying, I can't believe this. I can't believe what we're seeing. That's my gut. I feel like it's big. I don't think it's going to be a surface thing. I think it's going to be a time bomb that we've never seen in this country, and it's going to take some people down that we're going to be really shocked at. That's just my gut.
You're absolutely right. I totally agree with you.
Absolutely. Guys, I want to thank both of you for being here for the TAV show. It's been awesome, a pleasure as usual. We broke down a lot of good stuff for the audience. I think they appreciated the show as well. I want to talk now directly to the audience as we finish up and wrap up and get out of here tonight, is that please, if you can, go to my page, go to @BorderNarcotics on Twitter, visit their page, help them, donate, but more importantly, even than donate, share the links. And I want you guys to have a mission. Your mission is to network better. Not these stupid fucking trains of people that follow shit that don't give a shit about you. Okay? They're not retweeting you. They don't care what you have to say. What I mean is network. Find people that you like what they're saying and start talking to them on Twitter. Figure out how to connect with them. It might take you 6 months to do it, but just work on networking. Make your network spread as far as you can. You don't have to be the originator of the best ideas on the planet. All you have to do is agree with these people, like them, get to know them a little bit, befriend them, and share the links of the shows that you all agree with. Share the links of Chris Mack, Border Narcotics, Ann Vandersteel, Bill Mitchell, myself, TAV show, and you guys know I'm on like six fucking shows a week, so I can't even name them all, right? Just follow me, spread it out there, and get it spread, because this is how we're going to take over. These guys right here, I mean, MAGA has to do it. We have to do it. Look at what we just discovered tonight, talking on this show, right? There is a black hole in all of media over this trial, except this program and its connected partners, Chris Mack, Border Narcotics, Ladies of Liberty, Pirate Radio. We're doing this to bring the news, the real truth to you. We have government court documents telling you that we're telling you the truth. So Mike Closer, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, right now, probably right after this show, he might already be live, and I might have missed it, but basically right after this show, Mike Closer does his show, and he starts, bringing you the news of the day. Without these programs, we're done. Guys, we're sunk. Nobody will be giving you the right news. It'll be deafening, the silence that's coming out. So support us by supporting Border Narcotics. And look, I'm telling you right now, I promise you, I don't make a dime, and neither do they. They don't make money. All we're trying to do is stem the bleeding. These are patriots of the patriots. They are spending their retirement, their 401ks, their pensions from a lifetime of serving this country. And now they're spending their own pensions to still serve this country daily. So all we're trying to do is stem the bleeding long enough for me to get a large funding source in place, and that is what I'm working on with my friends at Zap Media Holdings. So that is our software package that we are working on to fund everybody that's a broadcaster and to get rid of the tyranny of censorship so that these black holes on stories like this don't exist. We are working nonstop. Look, the bags under my eyes tell you we're working as much as we possibly can to do everything we possibly can to bring the light for you. So, having said that, any final words you got, Chris?
I thought those bags under your eyes because you was just a sorry drunk and you hang out with me all the time. I was just shocked. I just learned something else on TAV show tonight. Damn, it ain't me and the Power Show. I'm disappointed a little bit. No, James, it's been good to be with you tonight. And look, I want to just reiterate everything you said about Mike and the crew. Mike, we appreciate you guys. And it's been great getting to know you this past year. I know you all are sacrificing and fighting the good fight. And we all are to a degree. You have your sphere, James. Mike has his sphere of influence. I have my sphere of influence. And I just want to say this again real quick before we leave tonight. None of us are in competition with anybody. Somebody, every now and then I say, well, James has so many, numbers, and you have that many numbers, and Mike has that many numbers. And guys, honestly, at the end of the day, it's all about the family. It's not about the numbers. It's about we're doing this as one voice. And, if you're going to say that, just look at the numbers together. That's what we care about. It's not individual shows. It's us as a collective voice. That's what my goal is. And I know it's James, and I know it's Mike, and everybody else is involved in this right now. But I will tell you, we are on the front lines, and we need your prayers, and we do need your support, because this is not something we're taking lightly. We're giving our life to it right now, because this is what I do with my life. And I'm here until I lose my voice or they come get me. And that's my goal and my dedication to it. But James, appreciate you, buddy. Always glad to be with you, man. Thank you, brother. Mike, any final words?
Yeah, speak for yourself there, Chris. I go on James's shows for the free steak, knives, and toast. The free George Foremans and shit like that. I'm not stupid. No.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, guys.
What Chris said was pretty much on the money. If people don't fight, then you just go back to what it was before the internet.
That's right, Mike.
You let the stuff in D.C., continue to fester and manifest, and that's how we got to where we are today. If it wasn't for the internet, we'd all still be pretty stupid. But we're not. We're well educated. And you get the people who work in government, who actually work in federal law enforcement. Listen to these people. They're not going to lie to you. And none of them that I know of have an agenda. And if they do, then shame on them. Okay? Had Obama done anything right or whatever, and somebody made a thing about it, I would have said, hey, you're wrong, whatever. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. If you can't be honest, then shut your mouth and sit down and be quiet.
That's great.
That's just how it is. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I despise both parties. I support this president.
Amen.
Because he's not a politician. And it's politicians who have screwed up this country.
Amen.
Amen.
Into that. Amen.
So anyways, go ahead, James, wrap it up.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Border Narcotics, guys. It's at Border Narcotics. Go find them. You can find Mike also at SWSOG. They're all over. They're all over my timeline. If you want to just go to my timeline, you can, and you can find everybody's links. And I constantly retweet everybody. We're working for you. We're trying to do our best. So keep the flows going. Spread the links. Thanks for everything you do. Everybody, have a great night. Aloha.